natural processes look like. In nature, everything balances itself out. Like you've got raptors that take care of rodents, that take care of insects, that take care of bacteria and process nutrients in the soil and give.
I got into farming for like a lot of reasons, but I get asked this a lot. And I am a farmer, but I also work at a nonprofit that we farm for food justice. I mean, that's a silly way to say it, but we farm in a way that tries to, reduce exploited labor in farm workers, and that we grow organically to try to reduce the amount of pesticides folks intake and herbicides. And then we also we work toward growing regeneratively so we can also positively impact the environment, which is just like a lot of priorities to think about when you're also just trying to make money and live a life in capitalism. But when you farm, you don't necessarily get into it for the money, and so I thought I'd share a little bit about why I got into it. And I was studying at school, learning about like the intersection between like food justice and the environment, and I took this class on sustainable food systems and read this book that just talked about like access to food and awareness of food. And I realized that when I was a kid, I didn't ever eat any vegetables. Like my parents didn't make me eat vegetables, and they thought it was really nice of them because they grew up in the generation where their parents like made them stay at the dinner table until they finished all their beets, and like sometimes they would fall asleep at the dinner table and stay there all night. And so, when I was growing up, I thought it was cool that we always ate KFC and Taco Bell and TV dinners, not really knowing what it was doing to my body or my mind, or the environment or the economy. But then when I went to college, I learned more about food and I started cooking, and one of the first things I learned how to make was homemade pizza. I always loved to bake, and so I wanted to learn how to make pizza crust. So I learned that, and then I went back to Wisconsin, where I'm from, to visit my mother, and I was so excited to show her my new skill that I asked her if she could go to the store and buy a bunch of stuff for pizza. And one of the things was garlic. And so she came back from the store and she had bought, and mind you, I was visiting for like just a few days, making pizza once, and if she didn't have garlic, then she probably didn't use it very often, right? So I asked her to go buy garlic for me at the store, and she brought home a jar of garlic that was this big, of like diced garlic in oil or water, however they store it. And I told her like, "Oh, Mom, that's like so much. Why did you get me such a big thing of garlic? Like you could have just gotten a clove." And she like looked at me so blankly and said, "I didn't know it came any other way." And that was like a big aha moment for me, that no wonder I had such like a weird relationship with food, and I didn't know much about food because the person who raised me also was so far removed from her food that she didn't realize that like garlic grew in the ground, and instead thought it was only available already processed in a jar. And I mean, what we learn now about processing is how damaging it could be for our bodies and like leave impacts that we don't even know about. I listened to this podcast that's like, the more time something's processed, the more likely you are to get cancer. And so that just like made it really, really clear to me that not only did I want to know more about my food, but I also wanted to work in a job that got to educate and like share that with others, especially kids, because I didn't grow up in a place where I had access to land or green spaces or farming or food, and it wasn't until my 20s that I realized like how detrimental that was. And so that's why I farm, because I want to help others have opportunities earlier on, and help others be excited about vegetables earlier on, because it can be hard to be excited about something that's good for you. But I am, so I can share that with you.